This house, this tiny little ranch house, is where Muse recorded their landmark record, Absolution. Recorded in Grouse Lodge Studios in Ireland with legendary 2000s rock producer Rich Costey, the band was able to take over the entire space due to it being a live-in studio. Now, the band chose to work with Rich because he had mixed Renegades by Rage Against the Machine and Audioslave's self-titled album. They wanted a bigger, more expansive sound than they got on the first two records. And although we don't have the entire specs of how they recorded each piece, we do have a lot of information that Rich has given us. Basic rhythms for the drums, the guitar, the bass, and sometimes scratch vocals were recorded live. And although I don't have the exact information on the kick and the snare microphones, we do have some good information on how they recorded the drums besides that. They used a combination of 3 overhead microphones and close mics on each one of the cymbals for the most control possible. AKG C12s on the overheads and Neumann 184s on the close mics. According to Rich, Chris often utilized 3 different amps, 1 clean and 2 dirty. One of those dirties was a Black Russian Big Muff Pi, the other dirty was a Human Gear Animato. Now, this rig would change depending on the size of the room that they're playing in because the rig was so loud. Rich loves to use the Blue Mouse microphone to record bass, in addition to an Electro Voice RE20 and a Sennheiser MD421, which is a little bit more standard. He notes that the Blue Mouse microphone was capable of being accurate in the low frequencies compared to something like a Neumann U47, which was originally not designed to take that loud of a signal. Matt then played through either a custom Marshall or a diesel amp, using of course his custom Manson guitars. If anyone has any information on the microphones used, please leave that down in the comments below. That would be awesome. And finally, Matt often recorded vocals on an AKG C12 for the softer stuff and a Shure SM7 that he would walk around with and perform with for the louder, more aggressive stuff. Now, this studio was pretty kitted out with all kinds of premium equipment, but one piece of gear that Rich says was used all over the record was the Maestro Echoplex, used across a ton of different instruments, notably the piano, the guitars, and the vocals. In his own words, Rich utilized Pro Tools like a tape machine, rarely using it for post-production unless edits were absolutely necessary. This maximized the source sound and of course made them commit to the source material. I will link to the full article if you want to get all this information in much more detail on the Sound on Sound interview. I highly recommend it. Check it out.